Take a breath, because Barış Arduç and Elçin Sanga just sent the internet into a collective swoon with a new set of outdoor pregnancy portraits that feel like a cinematic memory. The photos arrived without warning, slipping into their feeds with a quiet caption, and by the time most fans had a chance to react, the images were everywhere. No strobe lights, no heavy-handed staging, just sunlight sliding over green leaves, blooms stretching toward the air, and the two of them framed by nature like a promise you can hold with your hands. Elçin is luminous in that unmistakable way that can't be manufactured, her face soft, her eyes bright with a mix of serenity and anticipation, her hands cradling the curve that tells the story. Beside her, Barış stands close enough that you can almost hear the unspoken. A presence that guards and encourages, a gaze that says this moment is theirs and we're all lucky to be witnesses. What made everyone catch their breath first was the feeling. Yes, the composition is lovely, with dappled sun laying a warm veil over the scene, and yes, the styling helps, her in flowing fabric that moves like a breeze, him in a simple, perfectly fitted shirt that looks like he rolled up the sleeves just to hold her better. But it's the way they look at each other that really did it. Elçin's smile doesn't perform, it unfurls. Barış doesn't pose, he anchors. Every photo looks like something you'd find tucked into a family album 20 years from now, the kind of picture that makes someone say, this is when everything began to really make sense. Within minutes, the comments were a flood. There were congratulations from colleagues and friends, short and sweet, and then there was the tidal wave from the fans who have been watching these two for years, understanding the quiet power of what their names do together. People wrote entire paragraphs about the light on Elçin's face. One commenter swore the way Barış's hand rests against her side is the very definition of devotion. Another said you can see the future in their smiles. And then there was the inevitable detective work. Users zooming in and screenshotting, circling details in the background, suggesting that the color palette of the shoot might be more than just aesthetics. Was that little ribbon a clue? Did the floral arrangement lean toward a secret? Could the photographer's final frame be hinting at a gender reveal waiting just around the corner? It's almost funny how quickly the fan theories took on a life of their own, but it makes sense. This isn't just a pretty shoot. People are emotionally invested in Barış and Elçin in a way that doesn't come around often. They watched their chemistry on screen and never quite let go of the way it made them feel. They watched them grow as artists and as people. So when they share something this tender, it's like the audience gets to step closer, not to pry, but to celebrate. That's the word that rises up through every scroll and swipe, celebrate. Celebrate the love they've kept tethered to earth even as life got louder. Celebrate the miracle waiting in the wings. Celebrate the everyday magic of a gentle touch and a shared laugh caught by the camera just as it spills out. The setting itself is the dream you almost remember, the hush of morning, leaves moving in unison, a gentle path leading away from the lens. At one point, Elçin is seated on a low stone wall, the kind that has seen decades of sun and rain, and Barış leans in, shoulder bowed, a quiet shield. In another frame, they walk hand in hand through a small grove, saying everything with their silhouettes. There's a sense that the photographer didn't just try to capture a pregnancy, but a conversation between two people who built a world and invited life to join it. The clothes are elegant but never fussy, breathable cotton, soft linens, crisp neutrals that let their expressions do the talking. There's a flower tucked behind Elçin's ear in one photo, and it's so small you might miss it, yet it becomes a detail everyone talks about later, because it feels like a secret the wind told. If you looked at the numbers, you'd be stunned. The photos ricocheted across Instagram and landed on countless story feeds before rolling into Twitter threads where fans wrote love letters to the idea of them. TikTok stitched together slideshows and music, slow ballads over their laughter, quick edits that made it feel like a mini-movie. Edits popped up in all languages, fan accounts collaborated, and even casual followers paused their day to soak in the softness of something honest. The hashtags climbed, then soared, and soon the images were headlining fan pages that haven't agreed on anything in ages except that this, right here, is worth pausing for. There's a collective sigh you can almost hear. Like the internet put down its noise and let itself be moved. Another thing that struck people is how much this feels like them. There are celebrity shoots that look expensive, and then there are shoots that feel true. This is the second kind. You can tell they didn't want to be swallowed by spectacle. They wanted to tell a story in daylight, with the hush of leaves and the hum of bees somewhere just off frame, with a sense of privacy even in a public share. Fans wrote about how refreshing it is to see two people resist the urge to turn life into performance. They're glamorous by nature, but here the glamour is in the restraint, the gentleness, the refusal to be anything but who they are when the camera is a friend rather than a mirror. A particularly adored image shows Barış resting his forehead against Elçin's temple, eyes closed as she laughs. It reads like gratitude. It reads like a vow without words. The caption beneath is short, just a nod to the season and a thank you to those who've been nearby in spirit. And that minimalism only deepened the impact. Without a script guiding reactions, every fan wrote their own interpretation. Some shared stories about the moment they told their families news like this. Others posted memories of first episodes, first interviews, first press tours when the world realized that together, these two could light up a room with a glance. Now, that electricity is quieter, warmer, and somehow even more powerful. In messages and threaded replies, people praised the creative direction of the shoot. The framing, the way the light rests on a shoulder and then moves on, the hints of movement in the fabric that remind you the air itself is part of this moment, it's no wonder even professional photographers chimed in to applaud. A handful of fans started pointing out symbols. Two birds caught mid-flight behind them in one shot, a path that curves just so, the faint outline of a heart where branches meet the sky. Maybe the universe really did stage manage a little, or maybe love just rearranges how we see the world. Either way, the speculation added a layer of playfulness to a set of images already heavy with feeling. Of course, tucked among the compliments were the hopeful questions. Is there a name picked out? Will there be a small reveal soon? Was that soft blue sash a hint, or simply a ribbon caught by chance? Will they share behind-the-scenes clips, maybe a candid laugh or a tiny blooper where someone steps into a puddle? The curiosity never feels entitled, though. It feels like a cheering section learning the rhythm of a lullaby and humming along. If an announcement does come, it'll break the internet twice over, but for now, these images are enough. More than enough. They sound like home. There's a reason this resonated as deeply as it did, and it goes beyond fame. The camera caught not just the glow of pregnancy, but the reverence around it. Every smile is deliberate, not posed. Every glance is a porch light left on. Every gesture is a conversation you can't quite hear but can absolutely feel, the way Barış's fingers trace a line of comfort along her back, the way Elçin leans closer as if carrying joy is easier when shared. You don't need a caption telling you what matters. The photos tell you everything. Soon enough, fan edits became their own universe. Some added a soft grain to make it look like vintage film. Others layered delicate piano over a slideshow and let the music do the talking. There were compilations with scenes from years past leading into these new images, like a timeline folding in on itself to arrive at right now. Hashtags trended across Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok all day and into the night. The posts kept coming. Congratulations in multiple languages, little notes from people who never comment on celebrity things but couldn't help themselves this time. Even those who are usually skeptical of public romance stopped to say they felt something pure here. In the middle of all the noise, the simplicity of the shoot became the quiet center. This wasn't staged within an inch of its life. This was careful in the way real life is careful when it matters. The clothes didn't overshadow the people. The setting didn't distract, it held space. The natural light did what it always does when you let it, it found the truth and highlighted it. A few frames feature Elçin standing beneath a branch heavy with blossoms, and you can't tell whether the flowers are leaning toward her or she's leaning toward them, but either way it looks like they're in on the secret. Another frame has Barış with his arm around her shoulders, eyes on her as if the world were a thing that could wait. It makes you want to be kinder to the next stranger you meet. That's the thing about tenderness, it's contagious. By evening, their names were on everyone's lips. Talk shows teased segments. Fan forums wrote poems. Brands posted understated kudos and then wisely stepped aside. In the comments, you could see people planning a watch party for the next update, a group chat refreshed to keep track of every clue, a folder on someone's home screen labeled "For My Heart" filled with screenshots. The viral momentum didn't feel like a wave crashing and receding, it felt like a tide that would keep coming back, because these images are the kind you revisit on a difficult day to remember how soft the world can be. And still, through it all, the underlying truth remains the same: this is a celebration of love and of the miracle that love invites. The photos aren't simply an aesthetic exercise. They're an invitation to witness the threshold between now and what comes next. Their supporters know that, which is why the engagement didn't stop at likes. There were long captions about hope. There were thank yous addressed directly to them for letting the public look in on something inherently private, handled with care. That's a delicate line to walk, and somehow they managed it with grace, generous enough to include people, firm enough to keep the most sacred parts unseen. For anyone who's followed their journey, it feels like a chapter marker. Not a finale, not a cliffhanger, but the soft lilt of a page turning over. Fans are already eagerly waiting for more, a few candid clips from the shoot day, a behind-the-scenes laugh as the wind picks up and turns a scarf into a flag, a quiet voiceover recorded on a phone explaining what the day felt like and what they hope the next season will bring. And yes, the question that keeps hovering: will they reveal the baby's gender soon, or will they let the story unfold in its own time? Either way, anticipation is half the joy, and they've mastered the art of letting people be part of that without turning it into spectacle. Watching Barış and Elçin move through this moment, you remember why people chose to believe in them from the start. They know how to capture attention without forcing it, how to tell a story without shouting, how to make the internet slow down long enough to feel something real. They've inspired their audience for years with charisma and skill, and now they've done it with something quieter: sincerity. Long after the notifications calm down, these pictures will keep traveling from screen to screen, recommendation to recommendation, whispered about by friends who say, "Did you see? It felt like love." So keep your eyes open. This is only the beginning of a season that promises more heart-lifting moments, more images that make you want to hug the people you love, more reminders that joy can be elegant and unafraid. If there are updates, you'll hear them. If there's a reveal, you'll feel it. If there are milestones, we'll be there to celebrate alongside you, watching the story weave itself into something unforgettable. Barış Arduç and Elçin Sengo have once again shown that they don't need fireworks to light up the sky. A touch, a laugh, a shared glance in a field of green, that's their magic. And as they walk hand in hand toward parenthood, we'll be right here, bringing every tender update, every viral image, every joyful heartbeat straight to your feed. Stay close to Turkish series stars, because the most beautiful chapters are being written in real time, and you won't want to miss a single frame.